Hello, what is up guys? I'm here today, back with another video. Today's video is going to be something a little bit different from what you normally see on the channel. It's going to be some IRL content featuring one of my new favorite hobbies, astronomy. So for those of you that don't know, when I'm not making YouTube videos, I'm working as an aerospace engineer. And as an aerospace engineer, I have a natural fascination with outer space. So I was on a YouTube bender one night watching all sorts of space-related videos, specifically about Jupiter and its moons, and I was like, you know what? I want to take some pictures of this myself, and hence began my journey into astronomy here. So this video is going to show you my last 3 weeks and my journey to try and take a picture of Jupiter and Saturn. And the first stop on that journey was to figure out what telescope I needed to do this. So as anyone who wanted to blindly jump into something would do, I navigated over to Amazon and started scrolling through all of the different telescopes that were available on the site here, trying to find ones with high reviews that would get here with prime shipping in 2 days. So I quickly realized that I had no idea what any of these numbers meant on any of these telescopes and decided to hop on over to Google and figure out what I needed. So I wanted to take pictures of Saturn's rings. How am I going to do this? It says I need something with at least a 3-inch scope, whatever that means. So some fast maths and Reddit reading led me to find out that 3 inches just means 76 millimeters, and I saw that this one had 127 millimeters, so it must be better, and that's why I picked it. I would later find out that this was a terrible decision, spoiler alert. But what I did is I went through the Amazon posts here and looked for ones with pictures, and I looked at user pictures and was like, that looks pretty good. Hey, there's the ring of Saturn, that's all I need to do. All right, cool. And then we got some Jupiter pics and some more Saturn pics, and yeah, this is probably going to be good enough for me. So yeah, and that one right there is what finally sold it. That Saturn picture is like, yep, I gotta do it. So here it is, arrived at my door, and we're gonna have a long, very long, boring series of footage here of me basically putting this thing together. So from unboxing it and putting it all together. And honestly, I'm watching through this right now while editing this video and speaking over it. And I'm like, this is kind of just a big old like waste of time. So yeah, I opened up boxes and put together a thing. It's like if you've ever assembled IKEA furniture, same thing right there, man. So fast forwarding through all of that, I finally get it set up and I've got it scoped up onto my neighbor's roof. And yeah, it looks pretty good to me. So I figured all set up, ready to go, gonna be an easy time out here. Take it out for the night, got my little eyepiece all set up and ready to go. Walking out the front door to go set her up. And I'm all excited and I point it up into the sky and I see absolutely nothing. Literally cannot see a single thing. No stars, can't get anything into focus, can't figure out how to point the thing at anything, have no idea how to control it, and generally find out that I am in way over my head, and I'm going to have quite the struggle to figure this out. So first place that I go to after all of this struggling is back to the Amazon comment section to see what people have to say. And this is where I find out that there's this thing called collimation that you have to do. And I find out that the telescope that I bought has like the worst possible way to collimate anything, where you basically have to take the whole thing apart to do it. But in order to do any collimation, you need to get a laser collimator, and another $25 later, I have one of these on my way from Amazon Prime. So when the thing finally shows up, I don't believe the people that you actually need to take it apart. I'm like, nah, I don't gotta take it apart. I'll just put this thing in here and do it. It's gonna be easy. And then, yeah, so you can see that red laser on the wall over there. That red laser means that I messed up real bad. I ended up having to take the whole telescope apart. I stopped recording. I was pissed. There was a lot of cursing going on. And yeah, so I fixed it though. Had to take the mirror out, recenter the whole mirror. The whole thing had to come apart. But finally, everything's collimated and we're ready to go again. So for try number 2, I decided to go over to my best friend's house instead because he has a very clear view to the southern skies where all of the things we want to look at are crossing. So left to right, you have the moon, then you have Jupiter, and then you have Saturn in the top right corner of the image. So this was the actual shot that we were shooting, the actual area we were shooting of the sky. So the footage doesn't come out very good at all at his house here. You can see that we have basically no lighting whatsoever, just the one garage light over there. So put a flashlight on that you can see we're still there. Yeah, I don't got anything good for you, but I did get a couple of cool pictures off of this. So what we did is we took our cell phones, held them up to the lens of the telescope itself, and took this picture of Jupiter and its 4 moons. And we also got this awesome picture of Saturn. So yeah, unspectacular to say the least. Now, what we learned from this night was that there's a lot of problems with this telescope. So first of all, spotting with it is near impossible. It's so hard to use the finder scope to get anything, so that's got to get fixed. Second thing is that the lenses that came with this thing absolutely blow chunks, and we got to replace those as well. The final thing that we learned from this is that the holding cell phone to camera thing is not going to work, so I need to figure out a holder to deal with that problem as well. So first things first, new set of lenses. Bought these ones off of Amazon, my go-to place for wasting all of my money. And yeah, so Amazon's choice, 4.5 stars, lots of good reviews on Reddit. This was a pretty easy decision to make right here. So I didn't think twice on that. Looking ahead, I probably didn't need to buy the full set. Probably could have got away with just the 6mm and the 20mm, but we'll talk about that at the end. After that, we also got a new holder here, and this was also an easy decision for the cell phone because I've bought this for work before to use it on microscopes. It works awesome. So easy pickup. The holder itself looks like this, so you can literally just unscrew a little screw on the top, put it on top of your lens, and you'll be good to go. And on the back side, you can see the little finder scope that I built out of Kinects. Literally children's building toy that's sitting in my basement. So that was a freebie upgrade right there. So as far as how this thing actually works, all you got to do is find your bright object in the sky. So up there we have Antares, the star right there. You can sort of make it out through the fuzzy cell phone camera footage here. Once you got your target in sight though, all you got to do is center the tire rings and the little pip dot thing in the middle. And then you got the one off to the left there, and basically you put your thing so that it sits directly between those two, and it always shows up pretty darn close to the middle of the scope. So still not perfect, but a million times better than the piece of crap that came with it. So there's a shot of Antares. Pretty cool. Anyway, the time has finally come. I think I made every upgrade that I need to make to this telescope to get it to work. So this was the final night here setting it up at dusk. That way I could actually get some footage of it getting set up before it started. But anyway, so getting it all set up and ready to go, pointing towards the southern sky. And then all that has to happen now is the waiting game. So, bringing up the picture from the other night, Saturn will be crossing into my view field at 10:15 p.m., with Jupiter following it roughly an hour later, so I would have an hour for Saturn and an hour for Jupiter. And this is the actual footage that I got of Saturn. So it doesn't look amazingly spectacular, but you can pretty clearly see the ring on it, which is cool. Obviously, this looks a million times better in the eyepiece of the telescope itself. So definitely want to point that out. However, we can still turn this slow little video footage of Saturn traveling across the view field here into an amazing picture, at least in my mind, especially considering the footage that we have here. So first thing we have to do is open up PIP. It is a tool that is free online. Drop the video footage into there, tell it that it's a planet, and hit the do processing button. I don't want to run it because I've already run it. So what this program is doing is it's basically taking every single frame from the video that we recorded, breaking it down, centering it around Saturn, and compiling it into a singular AVI video instead. So you can see right here the output is a basically stacked image where the planet is no longer moving along the screen, and it's also cropped and placed in the center. Still doesn't look amazing, but you can still make out the ring and all the cool stuff from that. After we've got it set up there, we're going to take it into the program called AutoStacker. AutoStacker is going to accept the AVI file format that we created there a second ago, and we're going to be able to do a couple of things. First thing we're going to do is use the program to automatically analyze every single frame and tell us which frames are good. So you're going to get a histogram that pops up as soon as that bar is done, and you can see the green trend line there basically shows you the quality of your frames. You can select a percentage based on how your frames are quality-wise. So for this one, I'm going to pick 40% just for this example that I'm showing. And once you've selected that, you then need to pick a series of alignment points that are going to essentially align the image. There's a lot more going on, but it basically tells the image where to stack upon itself. So after you've done that, it's going to output a file, and this is what the file looks like after it's output. So there you go. It looks a lot better, but it's still not perfect, so you can still see some haziness in it. And we're going to get rid of a lot of that and make it look even better using a third program called Registax. So Registax is going to let you do something called wavelet editing, and this wavelet editing is what's going to really make this image pop. So over on the left side of this program, you see the wavelets themselves, and as I click through these, basically what it says is that if it's red, as you increase that slider, it's going to make it darker, and if it's green, it's going to make it brighter, sharpen it, all those magical words for image processing. So you can thumb through these different wavelets and pick out which ones will make the image more sharp and more clear. As you can see, I'm basically just editing them until I get a pretty clearly defined ring. You can sort of see a shadow in the back over there. You can see the planet pretty clearly. And yeah, that's pretty much the whole game here. So you just mess around with these until you've got it to a point that looks good to you. This is the best that I was able to get it, at least in my opinion. Obviously, you could probably sit in there for hours and come up with something slightly better, but for me, rough, it's pretty solid. Moving on to the next planet, Jupiter. As we said, it was coming out about an hour later, so after I got done taking videos of Saturn to make that, took a video of Jupiter, so here you can barely make out any of the surface features on it, but once the video is fully passed through, you're going to be able to see that we go through the same exact process and create a pretty sharp image. So I'm not going to bother you with the entire process a whole second time. We'll just jump right to the actual image itself. And this was the image we're able to create. So we can see some of the stripes on Jupiter. Unfortunately, the red spot wasn't facing us, but still got to see a lot of the surface detail on the planet. Also, if we go ahead and bring up the Saturn picture a second time here, you can see that it came out pretty solidly as well. So now, this has to lead us up to the big question, was it actually worth all the money that I had to spend to get these two pictures? And I'm just going to come out swinging and say, probably not. So first things first, telescope. I spent $174 on this thing after tax, and that was not a wise choice. So through my research and as I got more invested in this, I found out that you can just go to like Facebook Marketplace or like Craigslist or eBay or any like secondhand sale thing and get ones that are pretty darn good as far as condition goes and that are like even better quality wise than the one that I bought for way less money. Like Facebook Marketplace has the same telescope I just bought for about $50 in my area, and I'm kind of upset. So yeah, could have saved a lot of money on that end. On the eyepiece side, I made a hint at it earlier. We spent $119 after tax for the set of 4 eyepieces. I could have probably gotten away with the 20mm. It's actually a really awesome lens. It lets me see everything in the sky. It's beautiful. I love it. And then the 6mm is what I took these pictures with. So I probably could have gotten away with just those 2. Didn't need the whole set of 4. Could have saved roughly $60 there. The laser collimator thing I definitely needed, and I'm going to need going forward, so that's not the worst purchase in the world, especially considering the telescope that I bought is going to make me use it. And the cell phone mount was a much better entry-level point than the DSLR options that I could have had to stick on top of this thing. So all in all, those 2 options there at the end were a solid purchase. But yeah, as far as $341 for these 2 pictures, probably not. You could probably get better quality pictures for much less money if you were willing to go the used route. Still though, it was a ton of fun, and over the last 3 weeks, I've had a blast trying to figure out how to use this thing, figure out how to get it to work, find these things in the sky. I don't think there's anything that quite matches the excitement that I had the first time when I was looking through the telescope and saw Jupiter and its moons. It just didn't expect to see the moons, and it really, I don't know, the right word is maybe childhood joy that came to me when I was looking through it, so it was really, really cool and a really enjoyable experience, and I'm definitely going to keep going with this. So if you want to see more vlog-like content about this, do let me know, and I guess as I am the tutorial person, if you want to see tutorials on the different programs or how to do this stuff, let me know, and I can throw in some of that stuff as well. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching today. I look forward to seeing you at the next YouTube video, the next live stream, or wherever I happen to see you. Peace.